What is up, everybody? Shadow Scout 0013 here with Canadian Bear and the Chosen One.
Yo, yo, what's going on?
Yeah, and today we are going to talk about list building with like pairings and figuring out what you want to take and how you want to take, and kind of like how to make whatever you're trying to build efficient and effective based on your ideas and goals. If you haven't already, go ahead and head to the Discord. There, you're going to be able to, find people painting and find the different hobby stuff. If you've got stuff in progress that you're trying to paint, feel free to, post it in here. If you've got finished projects, it's nice to see what everyone does. And if you do commission painting, you can definitely throw all of the stuff in there that you've done and links. If you've got questions about Empire, Rebels, or anything like that, feel free to uh, ask us or post a list, and we'll kind of like try to give you some help if we can. Or if you got rules questions, if you're just trying to chat, if you've got some sort of homebrew thing, a lot of people are posting the different things that they've been running or doing, and I posted like a campaign idea that can definitely be talked about or changed, whatever you guys want. And also, you can head over to the Patreon Clan of Shadows, where you can just sign up and become a member, and you're going to get videos early, and you're going to be able to see kind of what we do and support the channel to help with giveaways and stuff like that. And also, you can head to theburnacademy.com if you are looking for workouts. So, we'll go ahead and get right back into it. So, guys, we've got a Wookiee extraordinaire and a really good Empire player. Um, what do you guys think about when you're building a list and when you are trying to build a list? If you want it to be offensive or defensive, are there certain characters that you really think about more, or are there ways to build your list to make it more that way? What do you think about list building, and what decisions do you make when doing it?
Yeah, good question. I guess it kind of just devolves into two things, and Graham, I guess you can kind of chime in a little bit later. Um, I guess it's more: is your list going to be more objective based, and you're trying to play a specific, play style, or are you building a list that can kind of handle multiple objectives while still being efficient? I guess it's kind of the two thought process, trees that I go down whenever I start making a list. Graham, I don't know how you decide to construct lists.
Um, Most of the time, I'd say I probably go with is my army going to be the focus, or is my characters going to be the focus? Um, yeah, that's kind of how I've fallen down. I mean, it's it's a little bit easier in Gar. We
Yeah,
only
that's
can
fair.
take. We have a lot of commanders, but you can only take two, and you only got two
Yeah,
operatives to pick from.
that's
But it can
fair.
get
I
real
guess a
cluttered.
better example would be like Empire. Empire is a really good example of kind of having a lot of things to pick from. Um, and I guess kind of, echoing on objective playstyle, I think the first unit that I typically gravitate towards is a bounty hunter. So that can be Boba, Din, um, IG-88, any other operative outside of bounty hunter. But I think outside of Gar and Rebel Din, I think I kind of just see what bounty hunter I'm trying to play. 10 times out of 10, it's probably going to be Boba and a mix of somebody else because Boba's so good. All of his command cards are extremely good. Um, well, maybe not all of them. I guess his 2 pip wrist rocket is kind of but I mean, if you have Rebel Boba, I guess that'll help. But yeah, that's kind of where I start my list. Building, I'll select an operative that I really want to play or have as a focus piece, and then I'll kind of build around it. I've kind of just been in this like state of mind where I'm going to pick a one or two named characters, whether that be an operative or a commander, and then I try my best to build a list that can help them take some fire away from them. So like with Boba, you can kind of throw some shores and some mortars in there. With the T-21s, that can really pack a punch. So if Boba does get into an area with a lot of people or a lot of other units, you can kind of send the shores in after him, or you can send the shores in like a move or two before he goes in there and softens him up. That way, you can really utilize him as best as possible. That's kind of where my thought process goes.
Yeah, I feel like when building a list, you obviously have a character that you have in mind that you really want to build the list around and what they're capable of doing. So, well, if you were to take, we'll just go with Yoda. So you take Yoda. He's only got 3 command cards versus Boba Fett, who's got like 6 command cards. So if you were to say go with Boba, um, you've got to figure out you've got all these command cards, and they really complement him, except for his one of his 1 pips and 3 pips, which gives them to either him or someone else, or him and somebody else. And then you can figure out, I'm going to have Boba in the middle of a gun line and add a black dice to everything, and to try to create a round where firepower is king, and then the another round you get like a free movement if you give it to Boba. If you don't give it to Boba, he gets going to gain marksman and increase his range. So you're kind of building a list around Boba Fett whenever you are, I feel like, going with him. But if you were to go with Yoda, there's way more complication to it, and you've got to think about not just how he's going to be playing, but how everybody else is, because I feel like Yoda is a great like support commander in a way, but he can still do a bunch of stuff on his own. So if you got Yoda and you've got him in mind, and I'll give it to Graham on this one, um, are you, when you're building him at least, do you want him to play more offensively, defensively, or do you want him to be more of a support unit based off of, what you're trying to go for? Like, do you play objectives? Do you try to go for kill points? Do you want him to be support, offense, defense? Do you want to play off his command cards? What are your thoughts when you try to build a list around him?
I guess it really kind of comes down to, are you bringing Chewie with him? Because if you're bringing Chewie with Yoda, you're probably going more offensive Yoda with objectives. Whereas if you're only bringing Yoda, you're probably going more defensive with objectives. I think, yeah, Chewie's, that's probably your go-to when you look across the table if you see the list. Um, just that whole backpack card really makes Yoda gives him a better chance at actually being offensive with his speed 1 off of his, instead of his 1 pip or taking burst of speed. Um,
So then there are
'cause-
good pairings then, because if
yeah.
you bring Yoda by himself, there's a different decision tree that you're going to be making versus if you do have him, and he does have a command card that complements him. So I feel like that's a really great combo, to bring versus kind of like either just like a random bounty hunter and a random commander in a way.
Yeah, I think because if you're not bringing Chewie, you're probably relying more on guidance. But if you do bring Chewie outside of, like, when you're riding Chewie as a backpack and like guidancing him into doing a third move and using, he probably has his wounds and probably is enraged at this point, so getting a free charge off or something like that. Um, and then doing it again on Yoda's 2 pip the next turn for another free relentless attack. Um, it's yeah. Outside of that, you're not really using guidance a whole lot, from what I understand, when you're doing those lists. Because I don't know, I've never been one to try that combo, even though I know it's very effective. I mean, if you're not bringing him, if you're not bringing Chewie, if you're sticking with Yoda, I mean, Padme's become very popular again.
Oh yeah.
Thanks to dashes. Because guidance, quick thinking is disgusting, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah, for real. And I've seen that firsthand with my game with Kyler.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Um,
outside of, oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead. No, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt the thought process.
I mean, outside of that, it's you're probably really only seeing if you're looking at more than one character, it's probably Anakin Padme, or you're bringing Kappa with Anakin to get around the flaw, or there's a clone commander. Because outside of that, I don't see a whole lot of two character lists. A lot of time it's either one of those like three combinations where it's clone commander and somebody else, Yoda and Chewie, or Anakin Padme, or Anakin Kappa. Outside of that, it tends to be pretty uh, single commander at that point.
And I think,
Single character.
yeah, I think another example of how that changes is when you go to Rebels. And in Rebels, you can have, let's just say, you've got um, Han and Chewie, maybe with like Leia and or Luke, and so you've got at least three named characters. Because in Rebels they all fit. What really starts to get crazy is trying to pick command cards. And if you muddle up your commander operative slots and you've got like two commanders and two operatives and they all have command cards, well, now I feel like we're going to start diminishing a little bit of one here and there, or we're going to accentuate one here, accentuate one there, but it kind of limits this person to a certain thing. So, like, maybe if you had, you know, um, let's just say, I'm trying to think of who's got a crazy amount of two pips. Is maybe you've got like Luke, operative Luke, and you've got or three pips. Yeah. So maybe you have like operative Luke, and you've got Han and Chewie. Uh, Chewie comes with a ton of different command cards between everybody, and then you've also got Luke, who's got six command cards. You've got Han, that's got the three, and then Leia, that's got a good amount as well. Or say just one pips. So Luke's got really good two one pips. Han's got a zero pip, and Leia's got a bombardment card. Trying to figure out how you're going to build your list with those command cards in mind is also going to be important, because maybe if you decided to take both of Luke's lists, you're probably going to want to be a little bit more aggressive on the gun line and a little bit more like try to get him in there versus, maybe going with Han's zero pip. So that way you're going to have to play him a little bit more aggressive, maybe not so much with Luke. And so I feel like once you've decided who you're going to bring, you really got to pick the command cards and then maybe fill out the rest of the list itself after picking both of those before maybe like, hey, I'm going to pick a bunch of vets and Mark IIs, and then I'm going to fill up with, maybe some snipers, and okay, now you've got a okay gun line. But what if, you know, you're trying to stack those 3 to 4 commander operatives, you're not going to have enough points to build a really efficient gun line. So I feel like trying to pick a good operative and or commander and trying to figure out what you're going to do with the list is important to begin with, rather than filling out a list and then trying to pick command cards. That's my spiel on like commander operatives. So how do you know which one to build
Yeah,
out?
I mean, that makes sense.
So how do you know which
Yeah,
character you really want to build out more?
I guess it kind of depends. Is like with like how I said, like the way that I think about building this is which is going to be my focus, because a lot of the like commanders and operatives are kind of their command cards tend to be one way or the other. Are they going to be supportive cards, or are they going to be um, more selfish cards? Um, so I guess like, am I playing a list where my army kind of doesn't really care? They're just hanging back, like a range 4 gun line, or something that's pushing up at the same time as my command or my hero like Luke. And if you're doing like Luke and Tons or something like that, the Tons don't really care so much. It's they're there to distract from Luke so that Luke can get in there also. Um, so I guess that's kind of how I would flavor my thought process about what command cards I'm taking or leaving behind.
Yeah, because
if I'm taking like multiple heroes.
right, and another good example is kind of like a Cassian K2 Ahsoka. So Ahsoka being an operative, and Cassian cards really complement operatives, commanders, and special forces. And so I think you build synergies along the way with certain operatives and commanders and or other units. Like Iden, she's really pairing well with special forces. Cassian pairing really well with operative commanders and special forces. You've got Leia, I feel like, which is a great core commander. You've got Luke, which can kind of go either way, especially with his one pip that you can manipulate any of your units or an opposing suppressed unit. Um, and he's kind of good with either or maybe. With bounty hunters, I feel like you can go almost either way, but you're going to want to do like some sort of gun line, possibly maybe with other objectives like bikes, objective players like bikes for like breakthrough or bombing run. Um, I feel like if you've got selfish command cards, you probably want a list that can counter other objectives really well. So that's why I like pairing bounty hunters with bikes, is because they're going to be fast in some instances with Boba or Din, or you have like IG with like Bosk, and you've got a range 4 gun line in the back, but then your bikes can go do objective stuff if they need to, or maybe do packs. But because they're so selfish, you don't really care about other units getting in order, which is also going to be important to factor in because Yoda gives an order to everybody in from one command card. And so you kind of have a really good order control. And like I said, that one's a very supportive. And so he's staying back doing a bunch versus maybe Boba Fett has his 2-pip flamethrower where he's going to go in and do some damage, and everyone else is just trying to either perform objectives or shoot. There's not much support going on. And so how do you figure out when to create a supportive list or when to create an all-out attack list? When is it when you plan on being 800 or when you plan on being slightly less than 800? Do you want it to be more aggressive or more defensive? Or I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out pairings really well, and I don't want people to diminish what they're trying to put out by clogging up either commanders or operatives or command cards.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I think it kind of just goes back to what your overall list is doing. Usually, I like to kind of play a little bit aggressive. I don't really like to play super slow. I mean, you can kind of go back to the game that you and I played yesterday. I was moving really slow, and I didn't really want to move slow because I wanted to kind of really, push the envelope and really get aggressive with your list. Um, but I think it's kind of just all based on what you're building. So if you're building if you play aggressive and you're building a list, you would kind of want to lean towards more aggressive units because it kind of just doesn't make sense to have like an aggressor like a Vader that can get in somebody's face really quick, and then you have like slow moving units behind him, like some snows or something. I don't know. Uh, that don't really move that fast, but they do have the range to kind of support him. Um, and I guess that kind of goes back to if you're going to focus on one single operative, I will say that you probably should have a commander that can support both the operative that you're taking and or the core units that you're taking. So like if you have a Vader and you have the points to spare, you can probably get in somebody like uh, Veers or Callus that can help take care of the core units as well as the operative. I think that's another good way to look at it.
Yeah, and I think Vader Dues is a wonderful combination. They've got synergy with his 2-pip and can really go in really fast with big bases and do 3-speed moves or 3-speed 2 moves to get in and do their relentless. And they're going to cover a long way. I can't quite remember if it's like 7 inches or a little bit more than that for like a speed 2 move. But them, and then you've got Blizzard Force, which is wholly different, but very still supportive with the command cards that he's got, and the fact that you can have 4 bikes is really good because they can do all your objectives, so like bombing run and help with breakthrough while he does a bunch of other stuff. And then Iden and special forces and bikes because Dell can heal some bikes and or if you wanted mostly a bunny hunter, maybe IG 88 And then the other thing is like maybe Shadow Collective Maul with Mandos, in my opinion, is really great because his command cards, when they give out an order with Shadow Collective, you want everyone to benefit from either independent or anything like that. And the Mandos have defend and independent. So if you give them an order, they're still getting tokens. And then he's the only force user with cunning. Oh, sorry. And so is Dooku, which can really come in handy, which it did in our game. And his command cards complement, I feel like, the Mandos the most. And how I like to do it is, his 2-pip, you give it to him, and Rook Cast, she gets 2 dodges or so from Retinue and everything else. So if they can soak up shots while everyone else is trying to do stuff. Brings everybody in, and then you play the 3-pip that has a free aim, 3 surge tokens, and then that means Maul has surge tokens for defense, and or you have offense tokens for your Mandos, and then they get off a second shot to begin with because they all got orders for the most part. And then you just back up from there because you're probably going to start dwindling down your forces because everyone's getting really close. So there's plans based off those command cards and what you're going to be doing with those specific units. I just don't think that if you bring Vader, you're going to want to bring Palpatine. Yes, it's worked with David Grant's list, the People's Champ.
I was about to say.
He did a really amazing because he's been practicing with it for so long. But for new players and people who are not quite experienced, they might get overwhelmed with the different choices of command cards and different plays that can be made. So I think that if you play Vader, you might just want to play him as the main guy, really learn him, what complements him, and then maybe go on to add somebody else with, I know no one here really plays CIS very often, so we can't really say like, this works and this works. But with the German Cup that just happened, or the German tournament that just happened, there was a hodgepodge of CIS lists that actually did pretty well. There was one with Maul and Magna Guards, and then one with Grievous, Asajj, and Bosk, and they did really well in mixing the different units. So maybe just watching games to see how different units perform with each other is a good idea, or hopefully getting some battle reps in just to see what each one does. I don't know. Do you guys have anything else on pairings, maybe? Like, besides Yoda Chewie, maybe besides Iden and Inferno?
Boba Din Veers, Boba IG Veers. I feel like Veers, Empire-wise, is a sneaky commander. He's really, really good at supporting your core units as well as your bounty hunters. So if I have the points to squeeze him in there, like I'm gonna try to squeeze him in there. I think he shoots 3 white dice. Not the greatest, but he's surge to crit, Pierce 1, and I think he has Sharpshooter 1. He also has Inspire 1 and Spotter 2. So you put some binoculars on him. He's got Spotter 3, and he's red saves. So it's pretty good. Nothing to laugh at. If something tries to get in too close, you can just do a range 3 poke. And since everything kind of has heavy cover, you can at least try to get something to go through it. If you roll a crit, it's just going to pierce anyway. So you're making somebody either just take the wound or roll an impervious dice. And if they have to roll an impervious dice, they start to block. It's probably going to be okay for them. But on the off chance that they don't, they're going to take a wound. So I think Veers with Bounty Hunters is really good. Callus with a Force user is also pretty good, as well as Bounty Hunters. And I guess it kind of goes back to my point that I was talking about earlier. Somebody like Callus and a Lando for Rebel with the contingencies. I think if you are going to be running 2 to 3, high value named characters, those units are something you should try to look at to see if you can spare some points on. Because having those contingencies really, really help whenever you're in a bit of a situation you have to switch over to something else. Like, for example, if you're Boba and you're not really going to utilize your 1-pip, it's like round 5 and you're kind of off doing whatever. But you have Callus that's going to try to lock somebody up that could go after Boba. You can contingency as 1-pip face me. So now you just kind of lock that Force user up for that round. He may die, but Boba's kind of out doing his own thing. So that's always a pretty good strategy to run. And then the past few days or past few weeks, I've been running a Lando Din 12 Act Rebel list with some swoops. Um, and I've been able to pull off the contingencies really, really well. Um, Lando's 1 pip and 2 pip are really good if you want to take a look at those on your off time. I think myself and a lot of people around read that Lando Din article, and I was kind of sold, and so I've been kind of running that, so it's been fun.
Yeah, being able to give out that free order and they still get their independent is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Also, tangent. I think Rebel Din is better than Empire Din. Just saying, maybe a hot take. Don't know.
I mean, you get Empire Boba instead, so meh.
I take
That's
Den
fair,
Empire
but
Den.
Empire Boba with Empire Din is really good. You just have a really expensive 135 point unlimited range sniper that can push a rune through, that can't get Guardian, can't get barriered, and breaks limited viz. So not bad.
I think, yeah, like Krennic and probably either Vader is really nice. Especially if you're not going like the do back route with Vader, because the Krennic 2 pip on Commander Vader, it can't get removed with that standby. um, and then also with the like if you're bringing Death Troopers with them too,
Krennic double darks.
yeah.
And comms relay.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of options there.
And that's not clogging up your command cards either, I don't feel like.
No,
Because Vader's.
Yeah, it's probably more filling in the gaps
Yeah.
that you have, depending on what you want to build your list around.
Because I feel like Vader has a situational command card, his 2-pip. I think the.
Used to motivate.
Well, that one I feel like is definitely like a good one to have, but the other one I feel like is also a little bit more situational. Fear and Dead Men, I think, is what it is. Where it's like if anyone's at range 1 to 2 of him and in line of sight, he gains a dodge when they activate, I think is what it is. I would definitely like, that's the one I like to swap out more so than New Ways to Motivate, because New Ways to Motivate can also act as push. You don't have to take the wound, and you can still give it to Vader. He can't take the wound. And then with Krennic's 2-pip, I would substitute Fear and Dead Men with Krennic's 2-pip to give that free standby to him. Because then he could do more. He can move Relentless, and then when it's his turn, he can move Relentless or do a bunch of other stuff. Because that standby going off before his turn gives him that attack for free, and then he can go and attack again. And you can use comms relay on the Death Troopers to give Vader an order if you were to play Krennic's 1-pip or something like that. So that way you always have some sort of order on Vader too.
And then you could always do the operative Vader with Krennic if you really want to go suppressive route. Now you've got a training upgrade, so you can throw into the fray, and you don't need Vader's effectively obligatory 3-pip for 2 surges. And now you can take Annihilation Loons and Master of Evil, and bring Death Troopers and Shore Warders and have fun.
Man, that would be so good. Even if you did, I think Krennic and Vader do pair well together, surprisingly. Because even if you had Commander Vader, that 3-pip wouldn't matter for Vader.
Yeah, the only issue is it's no access to surges, so once he gets in there, he only gets dodges that don't trigger deflect anymore. That's the only downside.
Boo, deflect.
Yeah.
I do think that the brother and sister and Empire need to be paired together, because you get more out of their command cards, and you're constantly giving 2 of your operatives an order, and they have better order control that entire time, because you're basically giving out at least 2 orders on their 1 and 2 pips, which is really nice. And so, yeah, you can take them to just individually, especially the sister. I feel like it's going to be better to take. Well, sorry, if you just want someone without command cards, then I think the brother's going to be good because he can just be another random force user. But if you're going to bring the sister, I feel like you're going to want to bring the brother too because they just play off each other so well. And you're not necessarily competing for command cards, but you've got a good amount of command cards that can do a lot. I feel like a lot of people are trying to take them individually, but I just think you're going to have a better time with them together. Unless you just take the brother.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely cases where you can have one without the other. Um, so like if you're only going to take the brother, I would probably try to bring Palpatine just so he can ram him into people, you know? But yeah, if you can squeeze them in, well, how much are they with their training upgrades and all their
Uh,
shenanigans? Like what, 130, 140?
let's see.
It's
Because they're
fairly
base
cheap.
110, right?
110 and 105. So if you did
Yeah.
push on
And that. Mhm.
their upgrade, they're 125 and 120 with a training upgrade available on each.
Mm.
You can do either tenacity or into the fray.
Hmm.
Those are what, both? No, tenacity is what, 6 points? Or is it?
Yeah, tenacity is 6 now.
Okay. So 6, and then into the fray is what, 4, 5?
4.
4. Yeah, see, there you go. About around 130 for both of them, fully kitted out, which is actually not terrible.
Well, you don't need into
And
the
they have that.
you don't need into
Mhm.
the fray on the Inquisitors because they have block. So if you just spend a dodge, you gain the surge to defend even in melee. So there's no point in bringing into the fray on any of on the Inquisitors. As long you just need dodge tokens. So if there's a way to get more dodges on them, that's probably better than into the fray, in my opinion. Because then,
I mean, for situational, that's 4 points now.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's fair.
Infinite tokens, infinite dodges.
yeah, that'd be even better. Thinking about it, I do think Palpatine could be really good with one of the Inquisitors by themselves. Probably the brother.
Yeah, so you can ram them into people.
Yeah,
I think there's probably a way you can go with just the sister, but you're gonna need to bring the lat.
oh yeah. You're
You
gonna have to
should
get her in
throw Governor
safely.
Price as your pilot just to make it, all the better.
Yeah. Or even the TIE pilot, just throw them on there, chuck her in, screw up all their command cards.
Hmm.
Yeah, or you can do a Baron Rudor, right? I think he can
He's
maximize the lat. Right?
yeah, he's the refresh and you get name, which is Garfield's so sad.
Oh,
Our lat
God.
pilots suck.
Yeah, they do for no reason too. That's a
Yeah,
separate conversation.
that's a separate conversation. Very much so.
Well, when
Uh,
pairing, now you decided to just take a crazy 11 act list with two lats and Wookiees. No real
yes.
no real command cards. It was just
Nope.
all out going crazy. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know. Did you end up winning with that list overall?
Um, we're still waiting to do the finals because life has been kind of hectic for both myself and the other guy we got to play for the semifinals. So we haven't even had the finals for last round of the league. But I think I came out ahead of our pod. Um, but yeah, no, that list was it was dumb. It was fun.
Yeah, I do
Is
I like to see those generic style lists take it because you can fit so many activations.
hmm I mean, even the one I'm running this round is a lot of fun. It's 6 melee Wookiees with tenacity and recon, Chewie the same, and then 3 flutters with the gunner, and I have like a a 19-point vid that I can work with if I need to.
Oh my god. I thought about just getting me some Wookiees and Yoda, and that's it. I've already got to think about like 5 units of Wookiees, and I was gonna probably get another 2 more, and then a Yoda, and I've got no Gar or CIS, and I could just run a Gar list at some point.
You can see behind me there. I've got my last 2 boxes of Wookiees I hopefully will ever need.
Yeah,
So I
Black.
can do the full meme Chewy and 6 melee and 4 shooty if I wanted to.
It's so crazy. Oh my god. But yeah, that's another cool pairing. Checking out the battle forces with their command cards and talking about cluttering up command cards and trying not to, and trying to figure out the decision based off whether you need to be red player or blue player and go for objectives or not, and trying to figure out the best commander. I feel like you know Wookiees, at least they're pretty good right now with Chewie and or the Wookiee chieftain. You don't even need Yoda unless you want him, and the droid battle force. I played that last week against someone in Ireland, I think it was, and it's so good. He played it with the snail tank, and was able
Oh,
to.
you used it. Okay.
Yeah, he used it and successfully. So he did a really good job with that list. We played hostage exchange. Um, when he didn't veto hostage exchange because he didn't have a force user, I was like, I know they can increase their speed by one, but is it really going to be that crazy? And so we wound up playing it, and yeah, by like turn 2 or 3, it was done. So, uh,
Alright.
yeah, it's like you could do so much, even with just a generic T series and a tac droid, or a super tac droid, I should say. Um, but I think it's important to
Yeah.
figure out, whether you want to be blue player or red player with the certain list that you have. You need to figure out, I feel like, what kind of command cards you're going to try to bring, and then maybe fill out the list. But I know that's me. Um, I don't know, but with your Wookiees and Battle Force and with bounty hunters, do y'all even care about command cards?
Uh, Not really. I mean, the only ones that you probably care about command cards are the Rebel ones, 501st, and um, Blizzard. Probably the only ones that you actually care about command cards.
Yeah, I would agree.
All the other ones are like one unique commander is available and don't have any operatives because what the unique ATST and a generic officer, it's Gideon and a generic officer, and then only one character's or commander's even allowed in the invasion force. So,
Yeah, I think it's Dooku, right?
well,
I don't know.
yeah,
Dooku's not.
I just mean
Yeah,
like you can only take one commander or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you can't even. Well, no, you could take Dooku and Maul because you can take an operative in that one. That's right, I forgot about him. So
Yeah,
maybe
I
that one would
forget.
have some confliction. Like, do you want all the cards or do you want something generic to give out more orders?
Yeah, and then
Uh,
I've seen. I talked about this I think a while ago on another. I think with the Pikes video that there was a Cassian, Ahsoka, K2, Leia list, and they had two full stacked of Pikes or full stacks of like the long gun, the P13 disruptor, and the capo. And the other three core only had one had a medic, and then two of them I think had electro binoculars, and one had a portable scanners. So their core units weren't shooting; they were only moving to support the gunline pikes or Cassian or K2. Um, and so,
all right.
yeah, they didn't bother with their core doing any kind of shooting. And there was one, obviously kind of in the middle, and then scooting back to the back for intercept the transmissions. But it was crazy to see that like it's not a standard gunline type list. It's you're taking Leia and three core units, so 4 units altogether, to just hand out tokens. Um, so it's crazy to see the types of lists that people can bring that aren't all shooty and just trying to do what they can to eliminate your opponent. These were just build up your pikes as much as you can, just like Yoda would build up tokens on himself and Padme, and then just go ham. And I think we're seeing a little bit more of that nowadays in different factions.
Okay. Honestly, I like that because I mean, yeah, like everyone talks about Rebel Core being a rough spot unless it's vets or Mark II. So no, that's no, I like that usage.
Yeah,
Get your points back out of them still.
yeah, because they're staying safe. They're handing out some tokens and healing and or performing objectives whenever they need to. And Leia using vigilance, I should say, to keep those dodges on the pikes. And each turn they've got two dodges starting out pretty much if you haven't shot them. Because who wants the daunting task of shooting pikes when you're going to just keep building up more and more dodge tokens on them, and then they're just going to aim and shoot, and then you can heal. I think maybe with list building, it's
and then there's suppress too, and danger sense too, when
mm-hmm.
everything's in heavy cover.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think
Was there a second operative in that list? Sorry.
yeah, it was Ahsoka, K2,
Oh, sorry.
and then you had Cassian and Leia.
Did they make Cassian into an operative to get a third operative token, or did they keep it 2 and 2?
I think so. I think he infiltrated in on top of a building to start sniping.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool to see the
Yeah.
fact that all he was doing was charging up specific units and having those units kind of just wait and go when they needed to. I'm excited to see more of that, and I hope that we do keep seeing more instead of just like strict gun lines that we see, the arcs getting built up with all those tokens and shooting and annihilating with fire support and or the pikes or the vets and stuff like that, or just regular rebel troopers souping up Cassian and the pike gun line. I'm trying to see what's more efficient, like a tiny beefed up gun line or like a tiny one that I don't know.
I mean, that's kind of what the experimental droids is. If you go the shield route with the BXs, because that's that is frustrating. Also,
Dude, I was on that train when nobody believed me. BXs with the shields and situational, outside of the experimental droids, have Kalani with them so he could strategize too. Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking. And it was full BXs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like
Dude.
doing them at range 5 with the 2 extra dice,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's like, oh no, I lost a droid. Well, repair.
And they're
still got 2
impervious.
shields, refresh. Cool. Yep. So, that's besides like a fire support gun line. That's probably like the most like small, like focus piece, like gun line kind of thing that is consistent. Because after that, it'd probably be like Iden, where she's really going in on the attack strike turn. However, she wants to do that, whether it's Death Troopers or Special Forces or strikes or whatnot. Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, I think that's mostly it for my pairings. Bounty Hunters double bounty is awesome. I think it's going to go a longer way than just single, and or Callus with double bounty is awesome for the extra contingencies, and then Yoda Wookiees, Yoda Arcs. I feel like those are kind of best, and or Yoda Padme is amazing. And you're not clogging up the command cards too crazily. And I think that should be something that a lot of people think about is, when you're building a list, if you bring too many command cards or too many units that rely on command cards, you're going to be hurting yourself a little bit. But yeah, that's mostly it for me.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, I like sticking to just one operative and or like one commander operative, like two altogether, um, and then your army just supportive of them or being able to do what they can around that one person, like your Vader dues. That was really good. They complemented, and then your Yoda Chewie or your Yoda Chewie, really working in hand with each other. I feel like those are the best types of lists rather than just let's throw some things in here, and I think you got to plan, obviously. But yeah, you guys have any other combos or anything that you've seen that you have really liked, or anything that you're experimenting with now?
Making Lando good again. I promise you that. I'm going to be running him inside Rebels for quite some time now. I mean, range 3, sharp 2, surge crit, pierce 1. And then on his 1 pip, depending on how many command cards you have in your discard pile, you can get up to 3 aims and 3 dodges. And you gain Gunslinger and Marksman. Yeah, that's how I was able to boop Yoda before he got overran. Telling you, Lando. Yeah, I don't know. I might experiment with Lando and some other operatives. I do have a Lando, Rebel Officer, Din, and Boba. I think 12-act list that I want to try. And I think the contingency 3 would be really nasty the way that I have it set up right now. I haven't ran it yet, but I'm trying to get some more practice with Lando. But yeah, I kind of want to see more people experiment with some of the lesser played operatives and commanders. I kind of like seeing that. It's always refreshing because I know I've fallen victim to like this commander's not that great. Like Commander Luke isn't that great, but it's nice to see people make really good lists around him that kind of really elevate him. And at the end of the day, he's a Force user. He may not have certain slots that make him better, but his command cards do help him. And if you can build a really good list around him, then you can elevate any character. I think and that kind of goes with that Grievous list. Was it Grievous, Bosk, and you said Asajj that you were talking about? Yeah, I think I don't think it's a hot take. I think Grievous is good as long as you have somebody else that's a higher priority target than him because he's sneaky. He's 8 health. He has low courage, which is, I guess, fine. I think he has block. He has relentless, and his pistol's free now. So, you know, he's a good backline kind of commander that can really sneak up on you. But yeah, I think as long as you have something to pair well with the lesser known or lesser played units, or have something that's more high profile to kind of take the focus away from them, then I think you can make almost anything kind of work, in my opinion.
Yes, I'm waiting. I think this won't happen until there's less Yoda out there. But I'm waiting to see someone do an Empire suppression gun line again, but make it a double bounty. Because it, I did this once before, but now that like Yoda's picked up and I don't have all this, it's just a TTS list. But it was like, um, because there's so many operatives out there, IG-11 and Bosk with Palp and 2 mortars is real gross.
So why? Explain.
So because of the bounty programming, if you make IG-11's bounty an operative, he gains suppressive instead of the Pierce 1. So if you pull the strings on IG-11 and he's range 4, he's potentially putting out 4 suppression, or 8 suppression a turn. On
Oh, because of Gunslinger?
2 to 4 units.
Man.
Topping that with Bosk, putting out another 2 mortars, putting out another 4. It's an 8-act list, but you've got 2 T-21Bs, a med droid, an electro staff on the Royal Guards, 2 C's on IG-11 to deal with AI for an extra turn. Bosk with Hunter and Scopes, and then Palp, as you always do, Anger, Burst, and Barrier.
Yeah, that's going to seem a little scary to me.
It's with how they changed suppression. I'm just surprised more people weren't doing this before Yoda became more popular and before Bright Tree became a thing with all of its Inspire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think kind of having the panic change kind of helped in the sense that if something's panicked, they stay there, and they only remove however many suppression that's equal to their courage value. So if you have something that's like courage 2 and they're panicked, which means that they're above 4, they're going to take off 2, but now they're just in place. And so now you can just start loading them up and it's going to be stuck there. And if you're trying to claim an objective or you're trying to score and you're panicked, you don't count. I think that would be for like what is it? Recover. I think you drop it after you check if you're panicked. And I've
Recover,
made that happen
hostage,
before.
bombing.
Kinda.
It's won me a game.
I was going to say, because
Yeah.
you've got to rally before you drop it, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, that is correct. You have to,
Kinda.
after your rally step.
Kinda.
I know
If you have
you're
8
always
suppression on
panicked.
you, good luck.
Because you're always panicked. So if it's the end of the game, it's after your activation, and now you're in a panic state. You remove the one for the end of the round, and you're still above your panic. You don't drop it, but you're no longer holding it either.
Yes. That's correct.
So the last round is when it really matters. Or,
Yep.
and for intercept the transmissions, that also counts if I'm not mistaken, right? So like if they're panicked at the scoring round and they've got at the end of the round after they've removed that suppression, if they're still technically panicked after they've rallied again, so maybe they panicked during their turn, and then maybe you piled on some more suppression, and then they're panicked at the end of the round again, so they don't score intercept the transmissions, if I'm not mistaken on that part then, right?
Yeah, the only objective that you don't want to see with a suppression list is payload. Because no matter what, you count towards the unit leaders for payload. Like breakthrough, you stop them scoring. Key positions, you stop someone from counting towards scoring. Yeah, intercept. Sab doesn't matter, but if you can slow them down from tapping, it does something until like Palpatine gets in there. What else? Bombing run. I mean, you can make if they're not putting it on speeders, you can make someone effectively drop the bomb. Yeah. Hostage, you can make them drop the hostage. So it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm surprised nobody's kind of done that yet. I don't know. I think it's still kind of. There's possibility. I think it'll ramp up.
Yeah, I mean, there's also at the same time there's been a lot of Blizzard, which more so now after its quote unquote nerfs. Now it has infinite courage commander all the time.
Oh no, we made them worse.
So I mean that hurts this list too, but
there's a fun CIS list that you can do to make it suppressive, and I think it's involving the new Geonosians. Because if you were to take, I think the which heavy is it that is the suppressive one?
Is it suppressive or is it
I know one is scatter
Which one are you talking
and
about?
impact.
Oh, the pike.
Okay, yeah, the force pike with overrun as well. That's going to be suppressive, and then you can do droidicas to make them shoot suppressive. So you can slightly do and you can even include boss in that if you wanted to create like a very suppressive CIS list in case that's all you had. With Republic, I don't know if there's really anything that besides Yoda, because Yoda can use the Jedi mind trick to hand out some suppression, and then he's got his shooty blast that can be suppressive.
No. There's another list out there. There's another list out there that can really put out suppression. And this was the first time that I played after the panic rules. There was a double ISP Cody double flutter list with a bunch of phase two. I can't remember what it was. I think it was 8-ax. And use the fluttercraft to overrun to suppress the shit out of me. And then on Cody's, damn it, 1 pip, 2 pip, whatever pip it is that you spend the observation tokens on to make it suppressive. Yeah. And then you just ISP beam and you're just staying back at range, whatever the hell, and then beaming to always have something suppressed. Yeah, that one was really, really annoying. I think I had a pike recover the middle supply after I killed one phase two clone to drop the box. The pikes picked it up, got kind of suppressed. They were able to claim. Next round, they were able to move. And then after that, they stayed in the same place the entire game because they could not rally enough suppression. And even if they could, they would still only get one move. And then they would just stay there again. And he would just like be like, nah, I'm not gonna kill you. I'm just gonna whatever. I'm just gonna suppress you. Whatever. Oh yeah. ISP, flutters, and phase two mortars. Yeah, nasty. I hated that list. I almost won because of Maul, but even at that, it was very, very, very hard to win. I'll say that.
Yeah, those suppressive lists can kill you for sure.
Hey, hey, now you can bring 4 shooty wooks with a long gun.
Oh
And a phase
yeah.
2 mortar.
Oh yeah.
Yay.
That's a ton
Uh,
of suppression too.
And fire support.
yeah. Although I guess that's the only thing you would never want to fire support with this list. Because then you're losing out on a suppressive act. Other than that,
Yeah, that's the
just
bad thing about
drum.
the fire supporting, especially with the mortars. If you fire support the mortars, you only have that suppressive, and you lose out an extra suppression, um, unless you were to split fire somehow, because it,
Yeah.
you know, shooting
I mean,
the.
effectively it makes up for the suppression that you would have lost from a regular unit shooting separately. Um, but yeah, no, you're losing out on 3 for suppression. Yeah, suppression. Um, yeah, I want to see someone do like a psycho droid list now. That's like Grievous and Flamer Spiders.
Ew.
Well, with Ewoks, I feel like we need to see that because his what is it? His 1 pip that allows him to be able to just go ham on everybody around range 1, and then the flamer
Yep.
spiders just go in and nuke an Ewok.
That'd be so gross. So much fun.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
And with the Geonosians coming out, you might even be able to benefit from the flamethrowers against Geonosians too, because there's going to be so many of them.
I'm very curious what the overrun is going to be on that Geonosian Pike. If that's going to keep suppressive or not.
Um, I don't know. That's a good point. Maybe there's like suppressive on one end and pierce on the other.
Yeah, because like, right now the Pike itself and just the melee configuration is suppressive. So even if you get stabbed in melee, you're getting a suppression. So I don't know. Because right now we have one overrun attack that does suppressive, and one that does not. So very interesting.
And speaking of overrun, I asked this question I think this last week, but about being able to overrun fluttercrafts or lats or airspeeders, even though they are immune to range 1. Overrun isn't technically a ranged or melee attack, and so
Yeah.
you can still overrun flutters with your swoop bikes or your pikes or anything like that, even if it's above you. So that's a lot of fun.
That doesn't make any sense, but here we are.
And that's why I asked. I just wanted to double check and make sure that if my swoop bike is 5 inches above the ground, it can go after a flutter that's way above it. It can just reach for the top.
I want to know what those Geonosian wings are made of. Give them first height 3 moving.
Oh, that was a good good topic brought up by the fifth trooper about the height, death from above. Do the Geonosians have to be at range or height 2 in order to gain the death from above against a height 1 unit? Um, and if that's why they have a height 3 or jump 3 is to be able to do death from above above a unit that's height 2. Because if you're, because he was explaining like even if you were just like this much above your opponent, if like here's a mini and here's the mini, this doesn't count as death from above. It's got to be the range. You've got to be at range 2 versus the range 1, which
I
would make.
feel like height is going to need to get cleaned up again with this rule being implemented.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it feels like height and terrain are gonna. It would almost be easier if there was a height 0. So if you're on the map, then if you're on any kind of like area terrain, you're now at height 1.
Yeah.
But it's still less than the silhouette, so you have to do the climb.
Right.
Um,
That would make a lot more sense if they can clean that up a little bit.
yeah. But then it gets weird, like if you're standing on something that's like river terrain or like a pond where it's just like another mat that's down. So it's not like the crashed X-wing is area terrain, but it gets high in certain spots. It's not just like effectively a millimeter taller than the actual table edge. So yeah, it's it's gonna be interesting. It definitely needs some clarification when those come out.
Do you think that we
I
will
think they're
have?
just like, yeah, give it, and we'll see what happens. If we need to fix it, we'll fix it. Just like they did with the first Dark Troopers, and everyone was getting poked with them. Like, all right, maybe we shouldn't have done this. My bad. Sorry, guys.
Do you think that we're going to see a clarification before Worlds, or do you think that there's going to be a points adjustment before Worlds, or some sort of news that we are going to get before that happens?
Feel like they've said that there isn't going to be anything before Worlds. The most is maybe probably just rules clarifications on Geonosians, since they're supposed to be coming out before. Um, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I highly doubt a points change would come out. That'd be kind of a lot, in my opinion. I don't know.
I mean, it would still be less than a whole new rule book.
That's fair. That's fair. They might just they might just have some clarifications on it. Maybe have a couple more forums postings or something. You know, clean it up before that. They want to do something crazy afterwards. Sure, it's a new season. I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah, maybe just do some clarifications because they're going to come out, February 29th, and Worlds is in March. So maybe at least give some sort of clarification if anyone does want to play Geonosians. But um, other than that, is there really any other lists or combinations or like synergies that you guys would want to talk about? If not, we can wrap it up.
I think that's pretty much it. I don't know anything super crazy. But hey, man, if you can find something that works and it's pretty nasty, then all the more power to you. Just because I say a unit isn't great doesn't mean it's not not great. So
The only other thing is, since we didn't really talk about droids, is it feels like droids right now is outside of experimental. How do you want to synergize with your Magnus that you're going to be bringing?
It's like, do you really need to? I think it's just like Kat and Asajj are going to be, even Dooku. I think
Yeah.
Maul.
Uh,
Oh.
but yeah, then there's also like, do you want, so like there's that, like, do you want someone that's going up with them that you're either dealing with one or the other, or do you want something that is more sit back, like a Kalani, or something like that is kind of the one of like the two different versions. But most of it is I'm gonna be up here too, and I've got bounty and haha.
You could do a double bounty 11. I think it's an 11 act or a 10 act double bounty with CAD, Asajj, 6 B1s. 4 of them have the E5 sniper, and the other 2 have the E60. And then you have you have a T series at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then you have 2 BX sniper squads, the strike team, with the shields and the sniper rifle. 11 act, range 4, hashtag get cooked. And you don't divulge CAD's 3-pip. Save it. And then if you need to play recover the supplies or hostage exchange, you can just, double move CAD, kill something, and then teleport away. And then haha, I have your box now. Come get me and my 6 B1s.
Does his teleport work like the Dark Troopers?
I think you just teleport to the actual thing. You can still have the box with you. Theirs is they leave the map. CAD doesn't leave the map.
Ew.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. 11 act double bounty with CAD. Don't divulge his 3-pip. Just wait. You can definitely teleport away.
I've tried to come up with a few lists like
Hashtag
that.
CAD.
Yeah, it's a tough one to try and get worked out where it does work every time.
Are you checking it?
Yep. I'm like, no, not 2 things that can do this interaction. This is going to take a while to find, I think.
I want to say it's just on. I think it works on recover. I don't know if it would work on hostage, but I know it works on recover. So I guess if it works on recover, it should also work on a hostage.
Yeah.
Because he's not leaving the battlefield. He just goes back to his token essentially, which is not illegal.
If another unit exposes that token, though, does he automatically teleport?
No, I think it's so for him not to divulge it, it's just a CAD token. So you can leave it in your backline within range 1. I think it has to be range 1 of him and then range 1 of the other token, I think. Minimum.
Can't say I've played much CAD. But yeah, so while he figures that out, I've got
Unless there's another way. Right now, there's only people talking about can he be in base contact with one at the start? Which,
so his token. So if
yeah,
you
his
divulge,
token
can be in base contact with the middle box or whatever else it needs to be. So it's the only way in the game right now that you can touch the box because it's a token. It's not him. If you don't divulge it, it just says place 1 Bane token within range 1 of Cad Bane and be beyond range 1 of all enemy units. But if you're doing that, you would put the decoy up closer to your enemy units or something, and then have whatever else, because you can choose to also reveal it. So if you're in a situation where you like move, shoot off a steady, and claim the box at the end of the round, depending on where you went with him. If you went with him last, then yeah, you can just I choose to do this. Okay, Cad's gone now. Bye bye. Because you can always choose to reveal the tokens if nothing else reveals it.
Weird, I found one.
That also works on his divulge too.
So let's see. I did actually find someone where someone asked this. And the answer is when Cad Bane's Here I Am token is revealed, it is replaced with his miniatures, and any tokens assigned to him remain assigned to him. This includes claimed objective tokens. No!
Told you.
Oh. Why are there two of those in this game?
And you could play them all in the same team.
Oh, they can. Yeah.
Yep, because you can do
Ooh, I'm gonna
you
go
could
back
do
up.
Gideon with his 2 pip and Darks, and then you could play Cad's 3 pip and then just teleport two different objectives.
I'm gonna need to go like bend over a toilet soon and just carve my brains out.
Didn't
Time to
even make
start
that.
list building.
Didn't even make that. Wow, that's good job, Shadow. He just created a cancer list. Let's go.
uh,
Because that's what I
oh
thought you were
no.
talking about. I thought that you were saying both in Empire they can teleport. I wasn't sure, but yeah, no, Gideon,
No,
Cad.
but you can do CIS and Empire. Yeah,
Hmm.
I played CAD in Empire, and there was a round that I think I force pushed Boba away to get him from claiming the center objective, and then he did his 1 pip, tied it down, and then Boba died, but then CAD was able to move, steady shoot, claim, and he went with him last. And then at the beginning of the round, he was like, "Oh, here I am, token. He's over here," and I literally could not make it past round 3 because he had so much stuff at range 3 and 4 that it was just aim shoot, aim shoot. The other supply boxes were already claimed, so there was just no way for me to get that.
Yeah, that'll be definitely a fun list that we'll have to experiment with. Um, but yeah, that's gonna be a sick list to see if someone can pull it off. I see you scheming over
I'm
there.
so disturbed right now. My brain is melted. I go.
Let's see someone play it at
Uh,
LVO. All right.
gosh.
Um, but yeah, we'll have to.
I mean, yeah. You
So
can do a 10-act list if you do two double darks with both heavies.
Yep, just made it.
Oh. Uh, like, so here this is Naked Gideon. Cad built the way he's always built. Situational, duck and cover, comms, relay, prepared supplies, electro gauntlets, 4 naked storms, and 2 dark troopers with the cannon and the frag.
what was that 7x, and then you've got the double darks going
It's
twice.
8. And it's 8 going on 10.
8 going on 10. Oh lord.
Not okay. Uh,
But you'd have to get those right objectives though.
oh, yeah.
You're
No,
gonna
if
have.
you let them have one of those 2 objectives, shame on you. You deserve what's coming.
Yeah, from experience, I know. Yeah, don't let darks do recover.
No, let him.
Mm. No,
Uh,
but I think that's a good ending point. I think we'll have to work on that one,
uh,
and we'll have to come up with some favorite lists or something that like that on the next time that we get together. Um, but yep, that is it. We'll go ahead and end it here. I know we've been kind of running long. We've had some fun. Hopefully, you guys have too. Um, so head to the Discord, and there you're going to be able to talk to us all and get some more information from Canadian Bear or the Chosen One about these insane lists. Because, I mean, to see the lists that you've come up with, Graham, is insane. And Anthony, I've loved that little crit machine that you made the other night.
To be fair, that was rolling really, really above average. So
Doing some insane stuff. But yeah, everybody should head to the Discord, talk to us there. Head on over to the Patreon, Clan of Shadows, and become a member and support this channel and get some more amazing videos like this. And then head on over to theburnacademy.com for download the app and get your workout on. Any other final words? Any words of wisdom?
Bane double darks. Let's go.
I don't have brain cells left right now. They're kind of all like freaking out.
All right.
uh,
Well, that is it for us. We are signing out. Hopefully, you guys have a great rest of your day.
see ya.
Peace, y'all.
Yep. Peace.